Hey everyone, welcome to my channel if you're new, welcome back if you're a returning subscriber. My name's Jonathan, I make luxury videos, unboxings, and reviews, and today's video is going to be 5 tips that I wish I knew before I started collecting luxury. So let's get into it. So before I get started with today's video, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. It really does help my channel grow. I make videos every Friday on luxury style, men's fashion, anything unboxing related, you name it, it's here on this channel. So if you like that kind of content, don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. And if you want to see the 5 tips that I wish I knew before I started my collection, then keep on watching. For the first tip that I wish I knew is going to have to be the type of material that you want to invest in. There are so many different types of materials out there. There's fabric, there's coated canvas, there's lambskin leather, there's caviar leather, there's pebbled leather. There's so many different types of materials that these designer fashion houses offer. And you really want to make sure that you're picking the right one for your very first purchase. Just because you don't know how these materials are going to handle and how they're going to stay in your lifestyle. So you want to make sure that you're picking a material that is going to be durable and very good in your opinion. Because in my opinion, that can make or break you purchasing more from that fashion house. A good example that I can use personally is when I purchased my Gucci wallet. I did purchase it in the Gucci canvas material. And honestly, this canvas material is a lot different than the Louis Vuitton one. So as you can see, this wallet is honestly worn pretty badly. I did use it quite a bit, but I do use a lot of my other Louis Vuitton purchases quite a bit as well, and none of them look just as bad as this. Like, this one looks the worst. My Louis Vuitton ones I can use on a daily basis, and they still look brand new for all the years that I've had it. So honestly, this is kind of what turned me off on Gucci and why I don't necessarily purchase as much Gucci anymore, just because I'm really scared of how the material is going to wear over time. And I honestly think that luxury purchases are investments and that you like spending a lot of money on these items, so you want them to last the test of time. And this wallet did not do me justice. So that's why I don't tend to purchase a lot of Gucci, and I really highly recommend that you take into consideration the type of material that you want to purchase, just because for me, canvas has worked really well in my lifestyle because I love it. It's very durable. If I get anything on it, I can wipe it away. It's really stand the test of time in my opinion. And I'm not a huge leather person. I really don't like the look of worn leather. And that's why I'm really scared to go to Chanel and buy like a leather SLG, just because I know I'm going to baby that thing like there's no tomorrow. And I'll be really devastated once there's a scratch on it or once there's a mark on it. Just because in my opinion, leather does not look good worn. I don't like how it looks when it's like old in my opinion. So you have to also take that into consideration. So that's why I love canvas bags or canvas SLGs, just because they really do work in my lifestyle. So yeah, definitely need to take into consideration the type of material you want to use or want to stick with when you're purchasing your first luxury item. So the next consideration or tip that I have for you when you're purchasing your very first luxury item is going to be the amount of price increases, as well as how well the fashion house keeps their value. In my opinion, if you're purchasing your first luxury item, you should definitely stick to one of the top 3. And the top 3 being Hermes, Chanel, or Louis Vuitton, just because those fashion houses have a really good resale value and they really do hold their price point for their items. As well as you definitely want to prioritize some of the more higher luxury items. For example, like Chanel. If you're really into getting a classic flat bag for your first piece, definitely prioritize that over something from like Gucci or something from YSL, just because those have really frequent price increases and the price increases are really drastic in my opinion. So you want to be able to save for those a lot quicker than being able to purchase like a YSL bag or like a Gucci bag, just because those ones don't necessarily increase in price as much. And I know for a fact Louis Vuitton and Chanel in recent years have been increasing their prices astronomically. And the Chanel increases are just getting really ridiculous in my opinion. So like a 4% or a 5% increase on a Chanel Classic Flap is in my opinion a lot more severe than a 4% increase on like a Celine bag, just because those price points are really different, and the 4% affects the Chanel bag a lot more than the Celine. So definitely want to take into consideration the price increases and the frequency of the price increases, just because it sucks, because I've been there knowing that you just have enough to purchase your item and you're going to plan to purchase it in like a month or in a week time, and then they have a price increase of like 25% or price increase of 10%. It's just really discouraging, because then you got to go and you got to go save that extra $100, extra $200, or even sometimes $500, depending on the severity of the price increase, and then it kind of just delays your purchase. So that's why I really highly recommend prioritizing the higher price point bags or the higher price point items if you really do want to get those, just because the price increase is very severe. As well as for like Chanel classic flaps or Chanel boy bags or just Louis Vuitton bags or Hermes bags in general, they really do hold their value. So if you do purchase it at at a certain point of time and then eventually want to sell it in the future, then you will be able to recoup most of your money back, if not all of your money back, just because those three brands don't necessarily discount any of their items. If anything, they just always increase. So those are definitely something to take into consideration, is the price increase as well as the resale value if you want to be able to purchase something for your very first item. So the next tip that I have for you is don't purchase over retail or don't purchase at full price. It honestly depends, because it kind of contradicts my second point by sticking with the top three. But definitely for the top three, you don't want to purchase over retail. If it's meant to be, it's meant to be. You don't want to be able to, for your first bag, be paying over retail for it, because you lose that experience. In my opinion, you want to go and wait for the item to be in the store or online, so that way you get the full experience. You shouldn't have to pay over retail for anything. I know some of the luxury houses like to play games where they like limit the stocks or limit the amount of items that get released, but you don't want to have to pay over retail, because it's really not worth it, in my opinion, unless you've been desperately saving and desperately waiting for an item for years on end and you just can't find it. Then you go ahead, you pay over retail. But if it's something like a classic Speedy or a classic Neverfull or the Pochette Accessoire or a boy bag or whatever it may be, don't pay over retail. As well as if you're going for some of the more lower end luxury brands like YSL or Gucci or Burberry for that fact, then you definitely don't want to pay full price for some of those items, because those fashion houses have outlets. So if you wait enough or if you were patient enough, you're going to be able to find some of those key items in their outlets. So then you get a little bit more of a savings that way. I know sometimes I don't pay full price for my Burberry ready-to-wears, just because I know that I can find them at the outlets eventually. Like for example, my outlet at Toronto Premium Outlets, they sell some of the runway fashion show ready-to-wears a year later. So if I really wanted to, I will be able to purchase those at that time. But I also know for a fact that Burberry does have sales on their website twice a year. So if you really, really did want something, it will eventually go on sale on their website. Same with YSL, same with Gucci. Like, don't pay full price, in my opinion, for those brands, just because they do have sales or they do have outlets where they're easily accessible. It's fashion houses like Louis Vuitton, Chanel, Hermes that don't have necessarily sales that can offer them at a discounted price. So that's where I would not pay over retail. I would patiently wait to make sure that they get available in stock before purchasing something. So my third tip for you is definitely don't pay over retail, and definitely wait if you can, because if it's meant to be, it'll be meant to be. So the fourth tip I wish I knew before starting my luxury collection is the style and the resale value of some of these items. Not necessarily the resale value of buying and selling, so that way you can make a profit. Resale value in a sense that if you do eventually purchase something and fall out of love with it 2, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, you're going to be able to recoup majority of your money back, so that way you're going to be able to fund a future purchase. Honestly, don't take necessarily into consideration buying something and being able to think, okay, if I don't like it, I'm going to sell it in a year's time. No, honestly, purchase items that you think you're going to have in your collection for a lifetime, because that is what to do. That is what you should be doing. You shouldn't just be purchasing it just because you think that you're going to be able to make money off it later, or to think that you're going to be able to sell it for what you paid for it down the road. But that does happen. People do change their mind. People do fall out of love with a lot of things. So that is something that you should be able to take into consideration, as well as the style. If this is your very first bag, I highly suggest going with something classic, something that is timeless, and something that will always be in trend. Not something that is very trendy at the time that you think is great just because you want to follow the trend. Definitely stick with something more classic. So if you're going with Louis Vuitton, I highly recommend getting yourself a Neverfull or a Speedy or a Pochette Métis, just because those bags have proven that they're very trendy all the time, and they're not just like a one-hit wonder or a one-season bag. They're used for years on end, and they're always going to be classic and they're always going to be stylish. As well as you want to be able to pick a bag that is really easy to style with the outfits. So before you decide to purchase a bag or purchase an item, definitely check to see what kind of wardrobe you have going on. See if you're going to be able to style it with different outfits, different going out wears, different, like all just different things in general. I personally am a huge fan of the Palm Springs mini backpack, just because it's, in my opinion, it's a classic bag. It was trendy for a little bit, but it's still continued to show its popularity over the years, as well as I can use that bag on a regular occasion. I can use that bag going out. There's so many different ways that I can use that bag. So for me, in my lifestyle, it fits more functionally in different aspects. So I definitely highly recommend checking the style of the bag that you want, making sure that it's classic and timeless, and as well as making sure that the resale value is going to be able to hold the test of time, just because, let's face it, these bags are expensive, and they're not like cars, in my opinion, where you purchase a German car, the minute you drive it off the lot, it depreciates in value. You don't want that for your bags, just because they're investments, in my opinion, and they don't necessarily should be dropping that quickly, just because they are works of art. For some of the collections, they are really works of art, and they are really greatly made. So you want to make sure that you're keeping your value. And for some of the brands like Coach, Michael Kors, yeah, they have a really good price point, and they're really affordable, in my opinion, but you can't get anything for them if you want to sell it. Like, if you choose to fall out of love, or if you fall out of love with a Coach bag, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to get the same value that you paid for it. If you paid $500 for a really good leather Coach bag, and then down the road you decide that you don't like it in 4 or 5 years time, you're honestly not going to be able to get much for that bag, just because Coach, in my opinion, is so saturated. The market is so saturated with a lot of people selling their Coach items or selling their Michael Kors items that, honestly, it's just better to buy it brand new from the boutique at the time, just because the price point is affordable. Whereas if you purchase a Louis Vuitton bag, they are expensive and they do go up in price quite frequently. So you're going to be able to get that price point back if you wanted to. So definitely those are the two things you should consider: price point and resale value, and how to style it and what kind of classic bags you should add. And the last tip that I have for you is start small and then go big. A lot of people want to just jump right into it and be like, I'm buying my Holy Grail bag. I'm spending $10K on that Chanel Classic flap because that's the bag that I want, that's the bag that I need, and that's the bag that I'm going for. In my opinion, you do you. That is totally understandable. But for me, what has really worked in my lifestyle is purchasing something very, very small, like an SLG, and seeing how that brand's material, usability, price per wear is going to work out in my life, so that way I can justify spending that $3K, $4K, $5K on those luxury handbags. In my opinion, you don't want to spend that much money on your Holy Grail bag right away, because you don't necessarily know if that's your Holy Grail bag. If it's your very first item from YSL or from Gucci, you don't know how that brand is going to work. You haven't experienced their craftsmanship before. So why go above and beyond and buy the most expensive bag that there is? So for Chanel, I've been wanting to dabble in the world of Chanel. It's just honestly really out of my price point right now. But the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to be buying like a card holder, or I'm going to be buying like a small wallet, because I want to see how that lambskin leather or how that caviar leather is going to work in my lifestyle. I know there's not really a lot of men's selection for Chanel, but those are some of the things that I can consider if I wanted to start to dabble in the world of Chanel. Or same thing with Hermes. I know I'm not necessarily sure I want to be playing that Hermes game, just because it can be really tiring, but I will like to buy a belt from Hermes to see how that's going to work out, but I want to see what kind of things I can purchase before that belt, because their belts do run around 1,500 Canadian to $2,000. So I want to make sure that if I'm going to be investing that kind of money in a belt, I want to make sure that their craftsmanship is great. Even though I have heard nothing wrong about Hermes and their quality is really great, I need to experience it for myself. So for me, buying smaller items first and then going big is something that really has worked for me. As you can tell, that's why I stick with Louis Vuitton, just because I did have that very first wallet that I purchased from it, and I just loved it ever since. The quality, the craftsmanship, how it's held up over time has really proven to me, and that's why I continue to purchase Louis Vuitton. But yeah, definitely start out small and then go big. Thank you so much for watching. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. I know that these are the 5 tips I wish I knew before starting my luxury collection. So if you're debating on purchasing something for your very first item, definitely let me know down in the comment section below, and I would be happy to help you through that process. And if you enjoyed this video, I would really appreciate it if you liked, comment, and subscribed. I hope everybody stays safe and well, and I will see you in the next one.